You know that moment when you're standing in the grocery store, holding a bell pepper that costs $4, and you think to yourself, there has got to be a better way? I've been there. We've all been there. And maybe like me a few years age, you've tried growing them. You nurture that little plant all summer, get excited about your first few peppers, and then heartbreak. The first frost hits and your beautiful plant just dies. All that work, gone. But here's what changed everything for me, and what most gardeners, even the really experienced ones, never discover. Bell peppers don't actually want to die. In their natural home in Central and South America, they're perennial plants. They can live for years, getting bigger, stronger, and more productive each season. What if I told you that you could keep your absolute best pepper plant alive year after year? That you could clone your top producers and create an endless supply of peppers without ever buying another seed or transplant? That's exactly what I'm going to show you today. And trust me, once you see how simple this really is, you'll wonder why anyone ever treats peppers like annuals. And here's what made my jaw drop. A second-year pepper plant doesn't just survive, it thrives. It produces way more fruit than a first-year plant because it's already got this massive, established root system. Come spring, it just explodes with growth. Oh, and one more beautiful thing about peppers: they're self-pollinating. You don't need bees, you don't need multiple plants. One plant, all alone, can give you a full harvest. That means you can tuck them into greenhouses, grow them on a sunny windowsill, wherever works for you. Segment 2. Starting your journey. The foundation. Alright, so you've got two paths here. Starting from seed or grabbing a transplant. Both work beautifully, but let me share what I've learned the hard way. If you're starting from seed, peppers are, let's just say, they're not in a hurry. They need a long growing season, 70 to 90 days from transplant to harvest, and the seeds themselves, they like to take their sweet time germinating. Here's the secret I wish someone had told me years ago. These seeds crave warmth. We're talking 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. At those temperatures, you'll see little green sprouts popping up in about 7 to 14 days, and it's honestly one of the most satisfying sights in gardening. But let that temperature drop to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, you could be waiting 3 weeks or more just staring at empty soil, wondering if you did something wrong. You didn't. They're just being dramatic. I finally invested in a seedling heat mat, and oh my goodness, what a difference. It's like flipping a switch. And once those babies sprout, keep them cozy, at least 65 to 70 degrees, and give them plenty of bright light. A simple grow light makes all the difference between those weak, stretchy seedlings reaching desperately towards a window and strong, stocky little plants that are ready to take on the world. If you're buying transplants, look for the short, stocky ones with deep green leaves. No flowers, no fruit yet. I know. The ones with little peppers already growing look tempting, but trust me on this. And if your transplant does have flowers, take a deep breath and pinch them off. I know it feels wrong. It felt wrong to me the first time too, but you're doing the plant a huge favor. You're telling it, hey, focus on getting strong first. The fruit can wait. One more crucial step: hardening off. About 1 to 2 weeks before planting, start taking your seedlings outside for a few hours each day. Gradually increase their time in the sun. This prevents that awful shock and sun scald that can set your plants back weeks. Segment 3. The container secret. Why this changes everything. Here's something I learned after killing my first few pepper plants. Where you plant them matters hugely, especially if you're planning to overwinter. Containers are your best friend here, and I'll tell you why this is such a game changer. When fall comes and frost threatens, you can just bring the whole pot inside. No digging, no drama, no damaged roots. But size matters though. You want at least a 5-gallon pot per plant, but honestly, 7 to 10 gallons gives you results that'll make your neighbors jealous. The bigger the pot, the more stable your soil temperature stays, and peppers really appreciate that consistency. One non-negotiable rule: drainage holes. Good ones. Peppers sitting in waterlogged soil will develop root rot faster than you can say, "What went wrong?" For soil, I use a quality potting mix with about 20% perlite mixed in. It keeps things light and airy, just like pepper roots like it. And if you're planting in the garden instead, choose the sunniest spot you've got, at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight.
Segment 4. The growing season. 3 hacks that eliminate heartbreak. This is where I see most gardeners struggle, but honestly, once you know these 3 things, it's smooth sailing. Hack 1. The watering secret, and how to prevent that dreaded blossom end rot. Okay, real talk, I lost so many peppers to blossom end rot in my early days. You know what I'm talking about, that black, sunken spot on the bottom of the fruit that just ruins your day. For the longest time, I thought it was a calcium problem. Everyone talks about adding calcium to the soil, right? But here's what actually causes it: inconsistent watering. When the soil goes from bone dry to soaking wet and back again, the plant can't take up calcium properly, even if there's plenty in the soil. The fix that saved my sanity? Consistency. I water my container peppers every 1 to 2 days during hot weather, just a steady, reliable rhythm. In the garden, I water less often, but deeply when I do. And mulch? Oh my goodness, mulch is like a security blanket for your peppers. It keeps that moisture steady. Hack 2. Feeding smart. Fruit, not just leaves. Peppers are what I call moderate eaters. They don't need tons of fertilizer, but too much of the wrong kind will betray you. I learned this lesson when I had these gorgeous, massive pepper plants with barely any fruit. All nitrogen, no phosphorus or potassium. Here's the strategy. Use balanced fertilizer while the plant is getting established. Then, once you see those first flowers forming, switch to something higher in phosphorus and potassium, like a 5-10-10. That's what tells the plant, okay, time to make peppers, not just leaves. Hack 3. The staking requirement nobody talks about. This one surprised me. Peppers look sturdy, right? They seem like they can hold themselves up. Until they can't. Until that beautiful branch loaded with 3 or 4 big peppers just snap. Heartbreaking. Now I stake every single pepper plant, even the small varieties. I use simple bamboo stakes or tomato cages, and I put them in at planting time so I am not stabbing through roots later on. Pro tip, I pinch off the first few flower buds and remove suckers growing in the branch crotches. I know it feels counterintuitive, but it builds a stronger plant structure early on, and you'll get more peppers overall. Segment 5. The harvest strategy that keeps them producing. This is one of those secrets that separates okay pepper growers from great ones. Here's the deal. The longer a pepper sits on the plant ripening, turning from green to red, yellow, or orange, the more energy that plant pours into that single fruit instead of making new ones. So if you want maximum production, and who doesn't, harvest some peppers at the mature green stage. This sends a signal to the plant, keep them coming. I usually let about half of my peppers ripen fully because that sweet flavor is incredible, but I pick the other half green to keep production rolling. And please, please, use a sharp knife or pruning shears. Cut the stem about ½ an inch above the fruit. Never twist or pull. I've watched too many people accidentally uproot their whole plant or snap a main branch doing that. Segment 6. The Overwintering Game Changer. Alright, this is it. This is the technique that completely transformed my pepper growing, and honestly, it felt like discovering a secret that's been hiding in plain sight. When to act. Watch your weather forecast. When nighttime temperatures start dipping into the low 40s before that first frost hits, it's time to act. If your plants are in the garden, carefully dig them up and get them into containers. The hard part, that's worth it. You have to prune them back hard. I'm talking about cutting them down to about 6 to 8 inches tall, removing most of the leafy growth. The first time I did this, I felt like a monster. It looked so brutal. But here's why it works. The plant can't support all that leafy growth in the lower light conditions indoors. Pruning forces it into a semi-dormant state where it conserves energy and survives the winter. The pest check. Inspect every leaf and stem. Look for aphids, spider mites, any hitchhikers. Spray with insecticidal soap and let the plant sit in your garage for a few days for quarantine. The last thing you want is to bring pests into your house. Winter care. Find a cool spot with some light. A sunny window in a room that stays around 55 to 60 degrees is perfect. Water sparingly, maybe once every week or 2 weeks, just enough so the roots don't completely dry out. It's going to look sad for a while. That's normal. You're keeping it alive, not asking it to thrive. The spring awakening. This is where the magic happens. 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date, move it to a warmer, brighter spot. Increase watering gradually, give it a dose of balanced fertilizer. Within a couple of weeks, you'll see new growth emerging. And let me tell you, watching those first green leaves unfurl after a long winter, it never gets old. That's your mature, established plant waking up ready to produce more peppers than any seedling could dream of. Segment 7. Multiplication. Creating your own pepper paradise. Once you've got a plant you absolutely love, one that produces beautiful, delicious peppers, why not make more of it? Late summer or early spring are the best times for this. You're basically creating genetic copies of your favorite plant. Take a cutting about 4 to 6 inches long, making your cut just below a node. That's where a leaf attaches. Strip off the lower leaves, leaving just 2 or 3 at the top. I love rooting them in water because you can actually watch the roots develop. It's like a little science experiment on your windowsill. Change the water every few days to keep it fresh. In about 2 to 3 weeks, you'll see roots emerging. Once they're 1 inch or 2 inches long, pot them up. Congratulations, you've just cloned your perfect pepper plant. Saving seeds. There's something deeply satisfying about saving seeds. It connects you to generations of gardeners who've done the exact same thing. Quick warning, if you're growing multiple varieties close together, they can cross-pollinate. If you want seeds that grow true to the parent, either grow only one variety or keep them at least 50 feet apart. Wait until your pepper is fully ripe and has reached its mature color. Scrape out the seeds, spread them out to dry for 1 to 2 weeks, and store them in a paper envelope in a cool, dark place. Those seeds can last for years, and each one carries the potential for dozens more peppers.
Segment 8. Troubleshooting. When things go wrong. Let's talk about the problems you might run into, because knowledge is power. Blossom drop. Your plant makes flowers, but they just fall off. Usually this is temperature stress, either too hot or too cold, or inconsistent watering. Keep conditions as stable as you can. Blossom end rot. We covered this, but it bears repeating. Even, consistent watering. Mulch is your friend. Sun scald. Those papery, bleached patches on the sunny side of the pepper. Prevent it by pruning gradually and maybe providing some afternoon shade in really hot climates. Slow or no fruiting. Too much nitrogen? Switch to a lower nitrogen fertilizer and be patient. So there you have it. Everything you need to grow an endless supply of bell peppers. We've covered starting plants the right way, preventing blossom end rot, the continuous harvest strategy, the overwintering game changer that gives you mature plants years ahead of everyone else, and how to clone your absolute favorites. If this was helpful, if you learned even one thing that'll make your garden better, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe and hit that bell icon. It helps me keep making these videos for you. And I genuinely want to hear from you in the comments. Have you tried overwintering peppers before? Are you going to give it a shot this year? What's your biggest pepper growing challenge? Let's talk down there. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I'll see you in the next video. Now go grow something amazing.